When you're ready to conduct your analysis of your content to produce the text information, this is the speech-to-text information based on the audio of your clip, then it's very, very straightforward. In fact, this process is provided by the Adobe Media Encoder, not actually directly by Premiere Pro, which is great because the Media Encoder is a standalone application and it operates in the background, as it were. Here's the Adobe Media Encoder in the CS6 suite. It'll just happily get on with the analysis while you carry on editing in Premiere Pro. All I need to do is select the clip or multiple clips that I want to do the analysis on, right-click and choose Analyze Content. Notice that there's a clear script data option here, which allows me to disconnect the script that I already attached to the media file. And of course, this could happen because maybe you've attached a file and then you realize, actually, that's totally the wrong script, and it's not going to help at all. So you need to have some mechanism for getting rid of the data that you've added to the media. That's the clear script data option. So I'm going to go to Analyze Content, and this is going to come up with a very straightforward panel. In fact, if I cancel out of here and go to my metadata panel, I'm going to drag this over to my program frame so I can see that at the same time as my source panel. I'm doing this because I want to be able to see the results of the analysis, and it's going to be working on this particular clip. Now, if I just resize a little bit this metadata panel, which has got all of these options for the kinds of metadata I might have attached to my media, down here at the bottom, I've got an Analyze button. And if I click that, it takes me to exactly the same place. The difference is, of course, here I'm looking at a single clip, and in the bin, I can select multiple clips and get access to the same thing. So what have I got? First of all, face detection. Well, it doesn't do much. It just gives you a tick in a box to show that there are faces or there's a face in the shot, which might not seem particularly useful, but imagine if you're working on documentary content or montages or news content where you just need to find something that's got a person in the shot. It allows you to exclude things when you're searching in the bin. Then I've got speech and I can choose the language. Now, in my machine, I've just got installed the English US, which is lucky because this guy is speaking with a US accent. Of course, when you install this, you'll have all the other options here. This just helps the system to identify the words that are being spoken. Then I've got quality. Now, I have to say, I can't imagine a situation where I would choose medium faster. However, it could be that you've got a very, very long interview, maybe an hour-long interview, and you don't need the text to be accurate. You just need it to locate content. So I guess I could see the benefit of that. And here we are, we've got a message about how to get more languages. And then here we've got this option, Use Embedded Adobe Story Script. Now, if I did not already have a script file attached to my media, I could, well, in fact, I can turn this off now. I can click on this menu and choose Add and Browse to one. It's a bit quicker and faster and easier to use the bin to do this, but of course, if you've forgotten, you could always do it in this panel. And here we've got Identify Speakers. Now, it so happens that in this bit of dialogue, I think we've only got one speaker. But again, if you do tick the box, Premiere Pro will show you different character names, especially if you've used a script file. It can take those character names from the script. Otherwise, you're going to have speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 1 again, and so on. Now, I'm going to click OK. And this is going to fire up the media encoder without especially telling me it's doing it. And here we go, status is processing. There we've got the media encoder I've just brought up there. This is happening as a completely separate application. I don't really need to look at it. But the good thing is I can go back to my project. I can ignore this process. I can carry on editing. Maybe I'll move the clip around. This is a pretty minimalist sequence because I've only got one clip. But you probably heard that sound. That was the media encoder telling me that the analysis is complete. If I now select my clip, you can see, here we go. This is the mage speaking, and then the mage continued. Now, this is amazing because it tells me what the text is, but it gets more amazing than that. If I start playing this in my source panel, watch the words that get highlighted in my metadata panel.
When you were a child, you sat, as all children sit, at the right hand of mercy.
You see that? What's happening is Premiere Pro is highlighting the word as he speaks, which is pretty cool, but it gets even cooler when I decide to go looking for content. Let's say I want this shot from the word hand. I'm just going to click on the word, and it's going to take me to that part of the clip. If I play now,
as a man, that hand will.
Great. So I'm going to select the word. I'm going to press I to mark an in point to select the first part of this clip that I want. Let's play on a bit.
As a man, that hand wears an iron glove.
That'll do. And I'll mark an out point with the O key on my keyboard. And I've now selected a part of my content based on the text that was created from the original audio WAV file. I can now grab this, put it into my sequence, and I've got just the part that I chose. And if I just drag my metadata panel over to my source panel, this is just because I've got very little space on my screen at the moment. Now you can see that even with the clip inside my edited film, the metadata flows with it. This is important because when it comes time for me to send my sequence onto other applications like After Effects, for example, or Flash, the metadata is still going to be there, and I can use that metadata in those applications. So again, if you want to analyze your content, it's very much just a question of right-clicking and choosing Analyze Content. Choose the options you need and get back to editing, and you'll hear when the media encoder finishes its work and conducts all the analysis of your media.